Hey everybody, welcome to eTrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Yakima FreshTrack snowboard and ski carrier for 4 skis or 2 boards here on our 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. So this is going to be a pretty decent way of getting your skis and your boards on the roof of your vehicle and get those out of our vehicle, and that way makes it a lot easier to start road tripping with a lot of people, get all that cargo inside, or even leave some room for something like a cargo box or a cargo basket on the other side. So really do like how this system works, can make it just a little bit nicer getting to the slopes, which is great. Now I will say, I think there's a few carriers that kind of do the job better than this guy. The FreshTrack, not really my favorite. Kind of keep it in brand. I think Yakima's Fat Cat Evo 4 and 6 are just a little bit of a better upgrade for this system that you're seeing. What I like about it, a little bit more convenience on the security measures here. We do have locking cores, which is great, and that's going to be something we're going to see on a variety of other carriers here at eTrailer.com. However, not the biggest fan of how our locking system works here on our clamps. Personally, I like that Fat Cat Evo a little more because the one lock starts securing your underside here. If anybody does have this little security tool, which they're not too hard to find somewhere, they could actually end up taking your carriers off. Now, is it going to keep honest people honest? Yes. You know, most people are going to take a look at this, walk right on by. But in my mind, if you're looking for just a little bit more security, there are going to be better carriers out there. And overall, this does a decent job of clamping onto our boards here, as you can see. However, you're starting to see just a little bit of gap here on our skis today. And that I'm not super happy with, just because you can see just a little bit of shifting here is possible. Something like that Yakima Fat Cat or even the Rhino Rack carrier all the way up into the quad carrier, they just do a better job of actually securing our boards and our skis. But I think this is going to do it for a majority of people out there. If we're not too worried about our boards and our skis maybe knocking on each other just a little bit, this one probably not going to be the worst. And our boards are going to go nowhere, right? They're staying on the roof of our car. It's just the sliding in between our carrier that I'm not the biggest fan of. So this is going to be aluminum as well, which is lightweight. Obviously, we have a lot of plastic on here, so that's going to be resistant to corrosion as well. Now, the clamps on here make it pretty easy to get on. However, you can kind of see we're at a little bit of a tilt here. I'm not the biggest fan of this clamping system, just because it's pretty hard to get set how I want it every time, especially when you back it off. It doesn't seem to want to go right back the way it was before. You kind of have to mess with it, and you kind of have to find that perfect fit. And you're going to see here today, we do have a little bit of angle, and that's going to be important if you were to put this on other vehicles other than your Subaru. Our Subaru has a pretty flat roof, which is pretty nice. It makes it easier for our crossbars to be pretty straight for us. If you were to put this on another vehicle in the family, you might start seeing a little more drift on there depending on the curvature of your roof. So we are going to have a 92.6 pound weight capacity, which is excellent. I think we're going to be pretty hard pressed to overcome that. Of course, let's always make sure we're checking with our vehicle's owner's manual guide to make sure we're not exceeding anything with our roof limits. And to that end, like I said before, we do have room on the other side here of our vehicle, plenty of room to get a variety of other accessories on. So that's one thing about these smaller snowboards and ski racks that I like, is that I have the ability of putting something like a cargo basket or a roof box on the other side. And that way I can get all that gear out of my vehicle, making my trip just a little bit easier. So really do like how this guy works. The locking cores here obviously can prevent us from opening this up. Otherwise, I can push on that just like so. Palm of my hand, which is great because we're probably wearing gloves when we are actually taking this out. And how this clamps, you just simply pull it down and ratchet it just like so and hold it in place. Again, I think there's other carriers that do this just a little bit better. In my mind, this is something that's going to get the job done. And as you can see, it does do that. Well, now that we have our boards and our skis removed, I want to take a closer look here at our carrier. Here on the inside, you can see we just have 2 rubber pieces that simply flex around our boards and our skis and hold onto them. Now, obviously, not going to be doing any damage to them, which is great. But you can see I do have the ability of shifting my hand around just a little bit. And it does a decent job of holding onto it. But if you were to have your really thick boards back here, you can already see that makes a pretty big gap. Now, as you get further down, you're still getting good compression. But again, I just think there's a few little better systems out there personally. But let's start taking a look here at our dimensions, how they're interacting with us. Here in this position, this could be important for anybody who want to load up their items inside their garage. If you do have any kind of low ceilings, could be important. From our roof bar or our crossbars here today to the very top, That's putting us at 14 inches to the very top in the open position. While it is closed though, you're gonna find yourself sitting at a comfortable, sorry guys, about 5 3/4 of an inch to the very top. So really do like how that works. I think the big thing for people though, how much room do we have here from the inside? Let me go ahead and grab that measurement. That's putting us at 18 3/4 of an inch from side to side. I'd probably give yourself about 18 1/2 inches though of usable space, just because you probably don't want your boards and your skis rubbing up on that plastic piece. That's gonna be really important for people out there to measure what kind of skis and boards you can fit on here. Ours was about 10 inches for our board, so therefore we could probably get 2 boards if I had one of the bindings facing down. That does bring my one caveat though, not a lot of room here between where our middle of our carrier is and the roof of our car. Let's go ahead and grab that really quick here from the side. And that's only putting you right at 7 inches. So if you have very large bindings, it might be hard to kind of stack your boards on top of each other. And that's where I would look at something, again, like that Yakima Fat Cat Evo. Why I like those, you actually have the ability of tilting up the back end of your carrier, making it a lot easier to fit those big old bindings on the roof of your car. So how do we get these on our vehicle? Well, we can take a look here at this bottom clamp. This guy actually has 3 positions here on the back side, making it great for a variety of different bars. To that end though, again, kind of not my favorite clamping system because we're pinching the one side, which can get you at this little bit of a weird angle. Now that is going to be, again, depending on the roof of your vehicle, the bars you have. Today, we are on 59-inch crossbars here from Rhino-Rack. Why I like these guys, gives me a little bit of overhang for a variety of other accessories. I really, really like it. Gets us away from our vehicle. To that end, you can see we do have one of our foot pads here on the outside. Now if you are on like factory bars, do keep in mind, gonna be more on the inside of the vehicle and a little harder to get to. And that's why I like the little bit of extension here with our crossbars. But once we actually get it around, we just have this little bolt here. We actually have a quick connect here on the bottom side. If you wanted to, you could back this off, and instead of having to take this completely undone, you can actually flip that bolt, and at perpendicular levels, it has a little area for it to go out, which is really cool. But if, say, we don't want somebody walking right up and just taking that off, we do have these little set screws. Our included wrench allows us to tighten that up, and that's gonna prevent our knob from actually opening up and turning, which can be great. So now I will say, not the convenience that I really, really like. It's, you know, it's nice. And again, we already kind of mentioned, if somebody does have this little screw, or I'm sorry, this wrench, they could walk up and start taking it off. Albeit, it is gonna be a little awkward with them taking off your snowboards and your skis and your entire carrier, because we still have this little locking core up top that's preventing us from actually opening this unless we want to. Well, that install really is a breeze. The clamping system works really well in the terms of it's fast and easy to throw on there. Do I think it does a great job of getting this nice and level for ourselves? Not really. Here in the Subaru, not the biggest of deals. It just simply does compress itself on one side a little too much for me. Overall, pretty decent system. You do have 25 1/4 inches of your overall length. That's going to be important if we want to fit something like a cargo basket or cargo box on the other side, especially if you find yourself on factory bars that aren't giving the overhang that we have here today. Overall, I think the FreshTrack system is a very decent way of just getting your snowboards and your skis on the roof of your vehicle. In my opinion, there's a lot of other better carriers out there. One that I'd always suggest is just gonna be the Rhino-Rack Ski and Snowboard Carrier. I really, really like how that system works. It's pretty much everything you're seeing here today, and it just seems to work just a little bit better in my mind. I just like a little more. But I will leave that decision up to you guys. We have a lot of variety of options for you here at eTrailer.com. Highly recommend doing a little perusing. That way you get the right track for you. Otherwise though, I think that about does it for our look here today at the Yakima FreshTrack snowboard and ski carrier for 4 skis or 2 boards here on our 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.